Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we're in the thing, and the transition didn't screw up that time, as far as I could tell. Hello and welcome to an episode of Structure Gibberish, the live stream, the Friday night stream. We're here because we don't have anything better to do on Friday night. That's us.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I like it.
So we've got a jam packed. It is packed with jam, as Starfire would say.
Jam.
Jam, as Hotshot would say. I got a lot of jam quotes from cartoons. Anyway,
No one ever would dare give me the raspberry. That's kind of a jam quote.
I don't get that one.
Spaceballs. Anyway,
Nope. So, Pat, how was your week? I'm
my
jumping
week
right into
has
it.
been, yeah, we're right into it. I like it. My week has been total fucking hell.
Language, please.
I'll try to language it down a little. Um, my work has, I wouldn't say decided. Decided is the wrong word.
Hmm.
My work was um, guided into the idea that we should move.
Hmm.
It's now it sounds like we had like a problem with the mafia.
Yeah.
The, the building that my company has been in for the last 40 years got sold, and the new owner wasn't giving us as good a deal as the old owner, so we had to leave.
Hmm.
So um this move, I'm not gonna make this pretty for anybody. This move has been not good for me. I live 2 minutes away from my old work, and now I go about 15-20 minutes away for this new work, which doesn't sound bad, until you do the math, and I'm roughly going to be spending like $15 more a week in gas now.
Hmm.
I mean, gas record highs, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like that stuff stinks. And then of course we're in a much smaller facility now, and so I used to have my own private office, and now I just have a desk in the front room. So there's that.
Hmm.
Um, and anyway, we've been moving all week, which is exceedingly stressful. Yeah, and I gave myself stress acne, um,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
You could make up a
Nothing
better
like
story about
being.
that, though, if you wanted.
I got shot in the head with a BB gun
Hmm.
by an expert marksman who was 5 years old, right between the eyes.
You got shot in the
Uh,
head, but your adamantium skeleton protected you.
Bing! Yeah, that was it. Um, in any case, this has been a very long, very tiring week. Um, and even at that, like I feel like there were others in my work group that busted their asses way harder than me, and so I mean I'm even tireder for them. But in any case, it's been a very long, very hard week, and I have been looking forward to just hanging out here all week long. And so here I am, even though I have to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow to put in a day of weekend work
Yay! That you're
for
totally getting paid for.
for nothing at all
Oh.
because I'm salaried.
Hmm. Hmm.
Time and a half
Hmm.
of nothing,
Oh,
of nothing.
yeah. Time and a half times zero.
um, so there's that. There's that.
I'm
How about you, buddy? How's your week been?
I'm looking at the stream and noticing that I look very pale and you look very dark in comparison to me. Do you have?
I didn't put my front lighting on because I have this BB gun wound.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna maybe reduce my own exposure here for a moment. Not that much. Not that much. Hang on. I can make this more natural looking.
I mean, I can turn the light on
No,
if it makes it better, but
there we
I
go.
was trying to
This will
hide my mangled form.
this will be fine.
I didn't want to share it with the
I just
masses.
manually adjust the. It was on auto exposure. I just manually adjust the exposure. It's fine. Anyway, I don't think we're looking
Ah,
at that
Manuel,
anymore.
how was your sister?
So, tick, a tick reference, right?
Yes, it was a muddled tick reference because he was Batmanuel, and he used to say, "Ah, Diego, how is your sister?"
Hmm.
Love that guy.
So I've been working with the same client at work for about 3 years, 3 years and like 2 weeks.
And you
And
finally killed.
yep, finally got him. No, but I left that project and started a new project with
Oh, nice.
client in Florida. So I went to Florida this week.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I was there. I flew out on Tuesday night.
Hmm.
Um, I was there. I met with the client on Wednesday, and then I flew back Thursday afternoonish. Had some
Nice.
had some morning meetings, and then had from the airport, and then took off. And we had to. The weather was very nice, and I was not stressed in the slightest. And well, except for the flight back, because there was a series of bad thunderstorms in Florida north of the airport, like between Florida and Chicago. This is Miami. I'm flying out of Miami.
Hmm.
And my phone just sent me a notification that we are live. So
Oh, good.
I'm glad it's working. Um, so it was like the flight was delayed because they knew the storms were going to be there. So they just delayed the flight at the beginning. And then they were like, okay, there's a break in the storm and it's going to be there for maybe like 20 minutes. So all the planes get out there and go now. And so we were like number 20 in line on the runway waiting to take off. All the northbound planes couldn't leave until this break in the storm happened. And then it was just, it was chop until we got through that storm system. And then it was really clear sailing. And then we got to
Well, that's
Chicago.
good.
And Chicago has this storm system. And we landed in that. So,
Sounds beautiful, man.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was nice. There's a lot of palm trees. It's good. Good
Yeah,
weather.
did you from your past work trip history, I'm gonna guess no, but did you get to do anything nice while you were out in Florida? Like, did you have any free time to yourself, or was it pretty much all business?
It was all business. I didn't have any time.
Yeah.
I got in at night. I went out to dinner with the work crew, went to bed, and then like first thing in the morning, got up and went to the client's office. Stayed there all day. Went out to dinner with them at the end of the day, and then in the morning just went to the airport. So
Well, I mean, Florida is pretty fucking crazy. Anyways, I'm my language. I'm sorry.
just
But
all the kids watching.
I gotta think about the kids.
Hmm.
Florida's pretty crazy anyway, so you probably, you didn't miss much.
Now the this client, I'm not going to give much detail about who the client is. It's
Hmm.
not a big deal,
Hmm.
but I just prefer not to talk about it too much. But they are in an industry that's heavily affected by COVID, and therefore they are extremely paranoid about COVID. So they
Fair.
like
It's fair.
I had to bring my Vax card and show it to get in.
And yet, you guys went out to dinner.
I had to take a COVID rapid test at the beginning of the day in order
Hmm.
to get in the building. So I knew I was good at least at that point. But yeah,
There you go.
we did go out to dinner, and it was there were masks where appropriate as long as the governor wasn't around to look at you. You could wear a mask. So
If the governor is there, you can't wear a mask.
yeah, I think he's didn't he say that once? He
You
was
get
like
that mask off.
he
I'm
said
gonna burn your
everybody take your
face.
masks off. This is what we no more COVID theater.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I love people like that.
Mhm.
You know what? Usually we don't take a lot of hard stands on this show because we don't want to offend any of our listeners. But if you're not doing all you can to stop COVID, you can go yourself.
Uh,
I edited it that time.
the
See,
one time that it
you
mattered.
know.
Yep. I don't know what my cat is doing there. He just mowed the whole way. Well, he bounced down the stairs, and it sounded like
It's awesome.
and he's my noise canceller is
Fell down the stairs.
probably taken out, but he is still crying as he's walking toward the food bowl. He's probably very hungry.
I feel like I can kind of hear it, but I didn't hear it before you said something, so
Yeah.
I
I
might be
don't know.
making it up.
What? I don't know. These guys are weird. They're doing their nighttime routine. So, so yeah, waiting to see if I get COVID from the plane ride or anything.
Mm,
Find
mm,
out in a
mm,
couple of
mm.
days. Um,
It's pretty fun. Pretty fun.
yeah, it's always fun to to wonder, which is um which is why we really would prefer if everyone just, took every precaution that they possibly could. I mean, you can be reasonably cautious and not, yeah, there you go. You could you could do that while you're doing your little fan dance.
Exactly. That's my little kooky dance.
Hmm. Um, yeah, yeah, COVID. It sucks. There might be another surge coming, and I am not looking forward to it because I had a taste of freedom.
Yeah.
They started taking all the restrictions away because they were like, man, we jumped out of the plane. We're almost to the ground. We could totally cut the parachutes now. And and it's like, man, this is what it was like before. We could go to restaurants again. The
Hmm.
next time I go to Florida, they probably won't have, well, I had to mask the entire time I'm in the airport or on the plane. I don't think that's going to be the case next time I go. I think that rule is ending
Probably
like
not.
in a week or two.
Right.
So that'll be good. And then,
Now, just out of curiosity, how often do you get to go visit this client? Like, for is this because I know in the past you've had clients where you had to go out relatively frequently. Is this that kind of a client, or is this going to be
it's
just kind of a?
in the beginning it will be because it's a new relationship
Mhm,
and we're trying to get to know everybody, and it's really hard to form those bonds
mhm,
virtually. Yeah, in the past I would go to their two offices, um, each office roughly once every 3 months. So like in every 3 month
mhm.
period, I would go to their each office once, and then sometimes a third time, like a third trip to one of them.
There you go.
So this is probably going to be more frequent um, now, and then it'll get less frequent as we go.
There you
Or we
go.
will
There you
I'll
go.
delegate to some other schmuck who can go down there and stand in for me.
You son of a bitch, go to Florida.
You go and enjoy that damn
I
weather.
hate you so much.
Yeah.
You get your butt to
The
Florida.
the weather was nice. It was warm. It was 80 degrees. Sometimes it was 90 degrees, but it was mostly 80 degrees, and it was sunny because the storms were north of us.
There you go. Now, okay, so here's something that I've always kind of wondered about your business trips. If you wanted to, like, say you like, I want to take one extra day here
Mhm.
and go to Disneyland or whatever, like, is that cool? Or is it like, no, you're on company time. You fly in this day, you fly out this day. Like, how does
I
that work for you?
It would be like for like if I wanted to, they would probably still pay for like the flight in and out. But like if I wanted to take like an extra day and stay there, then I'd have to pay for that hotel that day, and I'd just have to take a day off
Sure,
essentially.
sure.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
basically just like, if you're on company time, they pay for it, and if you're not, which you could totally do, then you have to pay for it. So
but they I guess my question is they'd still pay for your plane ride back,
most
even though
likely, yeah.
you're not, you technically took an in-between day or something. They wouldn't be
Right.
like, sorry.
Right. Like I could take my family with me too, if I wanted, and let them
Right,
spend the day. While I'm working, they could be doing whatever they want, and they just have to pay their own plane tickets and stuff. So
right. So make them sit way back in coach and you sit in business
I
class,
do
you know.
Southwest. It's all pick your seat. It's all one big tube.
One big tube.
Hmm.
Love that.
Yeah.
One
That's
big tube.
that's. I mean, it.
That's their slogan. Southwest. It's one big tube.
The planes are. There's not much between you and the outside. It is just a. They're not big planes. These are 737s, and it is just like a big metal tube with some wings on it.
Once you start thinking about it and picking it apart, it's hard to believe that it's happening.
Honestly, I
Like, how am I
I
up
still
here?
don't know how these planes fly. I like truly, I don't understand. Like I understand the physics of it. Like it's been
Alien technology,
like you
man.
can explain it to me in words. I understand how the shape of the plane creates lift on the bottom and whatnot and all that. But like still, this is a massive, heavy, like when you're sitting on the runway, like the jet engines still push the plane forward when it's driving. And you think about like
Right.
how loud the engines have to spin up and how fast they have to go just to get the plane to drive forward just a little bit, and then it's like, and up, and you're up in the air. And like, I'm pretty sure it's, it's all like, it's just like a wish It's just like, we're just going to point ourselves that way and jump and hopefully land in a different part of the country in the correct spot.
And you don't ask too many questions because when you start asking questions, you stop believing, and then the plane
Exactly.
crashes.
Like,
Don't
I
do that.
never ask them
Gotta
why
believe.
they got those barrels of chemtrails in the back. I don't ever ask them about that. You
Right.
don't want to know
No.
about that.
Just don't
Yeah,
want
it
to know.
says Acme Chemtrail
Don't
on
want
it.
to
You
know.
don't ask. Anyway, are we doing a show? Are we live?
Oh, yeah, we are, aren't we? What the hell? All these people are sitting here going, hmm? All these
Mm-hmm.
people.
How do you feel?
Never mind. Our millions of fan, we, we are trying to do a show here. What was on our agenda? It's been a tough week.
Stress was on the agenda.
Yeah, stress.
Um, do you
It
you
literally was.
saw The Batman, a movie that, despite you previously
Yes.
saying we don't take a strong stance on anything on this show, you previously had said was not, you didn't think it was going to be a movie you'd be interested in, but yet you saw it anyway. Curious.
Yeah, I did see it. I did see it. So a I'm gonna keep this spoiler free as much as I did. I hope I don't ruin
Yeah.
that. It's
Is
spoiler
he
free. That's the
is he a
intent here.
Batman? Is that what this movie is? He's a Batman?
He is a Batman. This is Batman year
Okay.
two, basically. He has
Batman
not been
continues.
Batman for long, but I I will say I liked the movie more than I thought I would. But I still don't think it's a very good
Hmm.
movie, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
And now,
There were
which
some aspects of it that I liked very
do you mean
much.
in terms of just like literal movie cinematography, like it wasn't shot well or wasn't acted well, or just
Literal
like not a
movie,
good
no,
Batman
like
movie?
so there are elements of all of that. It's a very interesting movie. I'm excited for you to actually see it because I'd like to have an in-depth talk
I'm
about
still
it.
trying to figure out how to
Um,
do spoilery discussions on this live stream when people could tune in at any moment and be spoiled. But maybe we'll figure something out.
we could do we could do a special,
Well, a spoiler stream.
where the special is called spoiler,
Yeah, the spoiler
something.
stream. We're talking about the Batman.
Um,
You know the one.
yeah, you know the one. So like things in the movie that I didn't like that were just straight up movie things. The movie is way too long.
Hmm.
There is a ton of meandering, and I mean that literally. Like there's
Like the characters
just
just like
like
wander
people
about.
like staring about, wandering about. There are several extended scenes, and again, I don't want to ruin anything, so I'm not going to express exactly what happens to them, but like scenes that add nothing to the film. Like it's very clear like there are points where the director was just like, "No, man, this is
No, is
beautiful."
this?
And it's like it's
Are they
not.
Zack Snydering?
It's long. Not really. Not really. There's of course going to be some Zack Snydering because it's a
Give
Batman
me
movie.
a
He has Cape Billows. It
give me a
happens.
comparison. How is this better or worse than if than like a Zack Snyder Batman?
I think it's
Okay,
better.
good
I
deal.
think it's better because I think at the core of this that the director and the writer and everybody actually did understand Batman very
Okay, good.
well. Batman was one of my favorite parts of
Oh
the
well,
movie.
there you go. I mean,
Um,
that's step one.
I know, right?
That's
That's step
you.
one.
That's the
Step one.
biggest
But again,
checkbox.
like I was very ready not to like Batman
Mm,
at all. I was not sold on our Pat being Batman. Um, there were parts in the trailers that show him being, like extra violent, and and I was very prepared for that because that is definitely what the trailers kind of set you up for. Is just like this again. There's a great meme going around. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's from the Watchmen comic
oh
book.
yeah.
Have
Yes.
you
Yeah.
seen that
Yeah.
one? You know,
It's,
it is 1989, and I am seeing a dark and grittier version of Batman. It is
it's 2000
what I
two
don't
thousand
remember
and
what
eight
year
or
it's for,
whatever,
whatever.
2005.
Right.
I don't remember.
And I mean that's not untrue because this movie very much wants to portray a very dark and gritty version of Batman. Um, it's so, and I guess where I was let down before seeing the movie, like the watching the trailers, and I was not happy, was because I felt like we were coming further or closer to a more comic booky Batman, the comic book kind of detective Batman, maybe even a Batman who could say a funny thing, like not Adam West and not George Clooney, but like Batman could, like animated series. I've always the animated series, if they could just take those scripts and do them live action, I would be so
Mhm.
happy. One of my favorite moments, I can't remember which, I don't remember if it was in one of the movies or not, but it was one of the later Joker Harley Quinn episodes, and Batman saves Harley and Joker appears to blow
Mhm.
up, and Harley says, "Ah, puddin'," and Batman's just like, "Yes, he probably is." it's 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 very kind of, it's out of character, but it's
See,
also just like,
see,
oh,
that's
I love it.
dark.
It is. It's super dark,
That's
but very
dark.
funny.
So let me ask you this, Pat. Just in general,
Mhm.
think about where your expectations were. Did this Was this
Right.
below? Did this meet or did this exceed your expectations?
There are parts of it that exceeded and parts of it that met it, and I don't think any of it that went
Okay,
below it
so
because my expectations were very
so
low.
okay, well, yeah, that's fair. So that's fair. So on average, you would say this movie was okay.
Okay,
Okay.
for sure, it was
You
okay.
recommend other people see it.
There, I would recommend other people see it for the like. I will tell you again without spoiling anything. I thought they did Batman very well. I don't like the look of his costume, like when you're looking at, like, say, an action
Mm.
figure, but it works very well on the
You know,
screen.
I had
You
that
know,
thought too. From looking at the trailers, I really liked the costume. And then I saw some of the more higher quality action figures and thought like, "Oh, maybe I saw it wrong. Like this doesn't look as good, but it looked so
right,
good in live
right.
action."
But it does it plays very well on the screen. I really like the little
Oh,
kind of
dude, that's my
color
favorite
thing
part of
that's
it. Yeah.
happening.
I love that.
It's almost like Gotham by
Yeah, it's
Gaslight,
very
or
classic.
it's something married with that, and like his suit is somewhere between Gotham by Gaslight and Arkham
Yeah,
video
right.
games,
It's
because like you can see all the stitching
mhm,
in, and that's very Gotham by Gaslight. He's got the little collar on his cowl. It's
right.
very Gotham by Gaslight. But then like he's got like a suit that looks like he's well
Mhm,
protected. It's like a metallic
yeah,
suit.
like the video
Um,
games.
I'm gonna give one spoiler
You
here.
want to do the spoiler horn?
So spoiler alert. Um, the chess piece is not guns.
The director said that
It is
like,
it is explicitly a knife,
oh, okay.
because at one point he takes it off and like opens a box with it or something. I can't remember
Oh, so
exactly what he
wait.
did, but
So
he's just like,
he's just like, "Oh, my package arrived. Let me just get the."
exactly. He's like,
Yeah, okay.
oh,
I don't know. I had a box cutter
I
here. I just thought I'd use it.
green tech.
Um, so yeah, the director,
Um,
because do you remember like when they first started talking about this movie? It had to be like 3 or 4 years ago at this point. I don't even know, but um, I think we were. It was during that weird stint in like 2018 or 19 when we were back doing the normal podcast, and
right,
we were just really upset about the gun thing because it sounded really stupid, like just a terrible idea
right.
to do to his character. And I I have to assume that because they went all the way until just before the release, before saying like, no, it's actually not the gun, that it was originally intended to be that, and then they realized, yeah, that's actually a really stupid idea, and then they changed the usage of it to something
It
else.
could be.
That's got to be because otherwise, like, I mean, unless they were getting mixed signals and they were like, oh man, so many people love that he turned his parents' murder weapon into part of his costume. Um,
Well, now, so and originally, I guess somebody pointed this out online. When I was reading it, like that is actually part, I think, of a Kevin Smith story
yeah, right.
where, but again, it was not like, I took the gun and I cut it in half and made it into a
Yeah, he
bat.
melted it
Like
down
that's not what
and poured
happened.
it.
He melted it down into the logo. That I can get behind. I kind of
Yeah,
dig that. But like again, this logo kind of looks like it was made out of gun
yeah.
parts, you know.
Damn it.
But again, they put that all to rest when he's just like
I mean, I still don't like. I don't know why people feel like they need to come up with a reason for him to have a bat logo on his chest. Like, I mean,
I
he is
think it's
Batman.
bad.
He's got the ears. He's got a cape.
Right.
He's not like
So here's a couple of things that I really
he's
liked
the
about the
Batman.
movie.
It's in the title.
Um, they do not shy away from the characters' names.
Nice.
Batman says the Riddler like 30
Love it.
times, or it's the Riddler. Like they own the
Does he? Oh,
name.
Pat. Does he ever say riddle me
But
this?
I'm not going to say
What?
specifically.
That's not a spoiler.
Um, there's
No.
reference to it.
Oh.
There's
Okay. All
reference
right.
to
Fine.
it.
All right.
There's
Fine.
reference to it. But see, so they don't do that. But his name is no longer Edward Nigma. His name is like Edward blah blah blah. I don't remember his stupid last name because it's not Nigma. And I was like,
Why?
fuck. See, I changed it. I changed it to Fug. I hate when they do
I do
that.
too. Why? I mean,
I
we. I think some people need to just take a step back and recognize that they're making a Batman movie, right?
right, right, exactly. And that's the thing. Like everything else about this is ridiculous. But nope, can't his name can't be Enigma. And it's like
That
that's dumb.
is that
That's
is
really
out of
dumb.
all the things you could change. I mean, they already
Um,
changed his costume to be like just
and
differently
so
ridiculous, but
again, I will say okay, so Batman, I ended up really
mhm.
liking. I liked his voice. He does a
I
good Batman-y
I
voice, you
was on
know.
board with our
He
Pat from the
does
beginning because I know despite the Twilight stuff, I know he's actually a very good actor, and he
right.
looked the
He's a
I
very
thought he
good
looked
actor.
the part. I know other people
And
didn't at first, but I thought,
as much as his Bruce Wayne, I did not like his emo hair.
mm,
It's not like that most of
oh,
the
okay,
time. Like in the trailer, it would seem like it's in his face all the
yeah.
time. It's not
And
really like
he's
that.
like got to like tie it up in a man bun to put the cowl on, kind of thing.
Right. It's not like that. So that's
Like
kind
getting
of
down
cool.
into his eye
I
holes.
also like that I also like that this movie totally owns that he definitely puts black makeup
I
on his
love that too,
eyes.
actually.
You know, like that's one of those things. One of the things I hated about the Christian Bale Batman is like he clearly has black makeup
There's
on his eyes, and then he takes the cowl off, and it's just
I'm
not
pretty sure
there.
there's a scene in one of the Keaton movies where he takes the mask off, or someone takes the mask off, and he's got the black makeup
Uh
on,
huh.
and then they cut to where they've now replaced it with the removable mask, and you can clearly see that the makeup is just gone, and he's got big white guy eyes there, and then he pulls the mask off. And that was
Right. Yeah. There are
yeah.
points like that. I'm sure.
I think it was Keaton. It might have been
Um.
it might have been Kilmer.
So
It was one of those early movies.
maybe. In any case, it's always been a kind of a sticking point with me. It's like when he clearly has black makeup on his eyes, nobody's upset about it.
No,
I'm not
no,
upset about him having black makeup on. He
yeah.
should. Um. So anyway, all of the Batman stuff was very good. I thought the Catwoman, the character, is I would say hands down the best representation we've ever gotten of Catwoman.
Ooh, nice.
I think that her comic, like her the actress whose name is escaping me at the
Zoe
moment,
Kravitz,
Zoe Kravitz. Thank you. I wanted to say the other
Lenny
Zoe, but
Kravitz,
I knew it wasn't. Right, daughter. Right,
Zoe Deschanel,
is that a thing? No, get out of here. Anyway, she was awesome.
Zoe from Sesame
She
Street.
played the part perfectly. I thought that they wrote the part very, very well. Um, she was a cat burglar. She had very little to do with actual cats except for having a
Hmm.
cat. She was not eaten by cats like Michelle Pfeiffer was.
Yes.
She was not acting like a cat like Halle Berry
Hmm. I think
was.
Halle Berry had like a cat
Um,
curse, if I recall. Like she was literally a part cat
I
after she
never I
died, and the
I
cat
never
god
saw
brought
that
her back
movie.
to life. I didn't see it either. I gleaned bits and pieces.
I have no desire to ever see that movie ever. And I heard that she like reached out to Zoe Kravitz and was like, "Oh, it's so if they turn on you, it's okay." It's like they're not going to. She did a good job. Allie, get
Hmm.
out of here, you stupid crap.
It's,
You're a bad
it's
storm too. Anyway, um, point I'm making, she was great. She was really, 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 really great. Um, I hated every scene the Riddler was
okay.
in, with the exception of one.
The one where he says, "Riddle me
Um,
this,"
when
and
he
everybody goes, "Oh, he
no,
said it."
when he was when he was in the costume, all I could think the whole time was I am sure the director like played the Heath Ledger Joker ransom tape. You
Yeah.
remember that one really spooky ransom tape where he was real
Hmm.
crazy? That they were like, let's take that moment of cinema and make it a character, and that's the Riddler. Now scenes that the Riddler wasn't in, but still had his character's hand, like things that were riddles and whatnot, were very Riddler. They did it very well, I
Mm.
thought. And again, I'm not blaming the actor. I don't, the actor I think did a fine job with what he was given to do. I just feel like I feel like they forced him into like a and the Riddler was always a very poised character in the comic books. He knew he was 10 steps
Yeah.
ahead.
Right. He was not.
That was
He
part
was
of
not a crazy guy.
his right, until things started to go awry. Or if Batman started to not play the game right, then he went crazy. But when he was like within his world, he was not like a
Mhm.
guy. And I feel like they definitely tried to push him in that direction. I hate I mean I went into the movie hating the design of the Riddler, the mask, like everything about it. Nothing about his character said the Riddler to me physically. Again, the things that happen in the film, very Riddler, very dark but very Riddler. um but visually speaking, it was such a letdown. um and similarly with Penguin, there's like one moment. Now Penguin is a weird one because that's Colin
Yes.
Farrell,
Will Ferrell's father.
and it's so weird. It's so weird because he looks nothing like Colin
Hmm.
Farrell, acts nothing like
Hmm.
Colin Farrell, sounds nothing like
Yeah.
Colin
So why did they
Farrell.
cast him?
They they put him right. They put him in a fat suit. They gave him like
That's a really good one.
a goofy face, and I mean, honestly,
He's
it's really good. You don't question that this is not just an overweight, out of shape mob boss that has a real screwed up
Yeah. I
face.
mean, he's Colin Farrell
Um,
is a really good actor. It's-
he is, but again, why? Like they didn't. He doesn't go for any of the eccentricities that Penguin usually does. There's no top hat, no tails. He's not even particularly well dressed. He's just wearing suits. He looks like your average bottom of the barrel mob boss. That's it. And people call him the Penguin, and he hangs out at like I can't remember the lounge, like the fishy time lounge or something like that. And it's just it seems really weird. There's literally one moment, and it's played for comedy. There's one moment in the film where he does something that is Penguin like, and again, I'm not going to spoil that, but it's just like that's where we're going to go for it. Okay, why do people call him the Penguin? Like, there's no reason. He doesn't resemble a penguin. He doesn't have flippers. He's like nothing about the character says penguin to
yeah.
me.
I
He doesn't even carry a friggin' umbrella.
I
Like, they could have had the man carry an umbrella a couple of
I
times. It's rainy in
That's true.
Gotham.
I do kind of like the idea of just the fact of just having a character and that's like he's the penguin and you're like why? Like I don't know, that's just what people call him. I would
It's his
I
given
would
name.
like given the choice between that and like someone just having like some off the cuff comment of like, oh, you're with a stupid penguin or something like, and that's like the only reference to his name.
Right.
Given the
Right.
two
No, I
options
agree.
there, I got to go with everyone calls him the penguin and we
Just
just
call him
don't know
Penguin.
why and we don't care. He's the penguin. They never explained it on the animated series. except that he did kind of look like a
Yeah, but
penguin,
he
and also
also
he had like
looked
an
like a
army of
penguin,
penguins and
like that.
stuff.
Right. Like there is just nothing about the character, and that's what I didn't like. Again, that's what I didn't like about the Riddler. Like physically speaking, I'm a very visual person. I like the visual arts. When you say, look, here's the Riddler. He's a man in a green trench coat with a weird face mask. The Riddler.
It's
you know, it doesn't ring true to me.
speaking
Now,
of things ringing true.
it does. Shh. That was my mindfulness.
Are you,
I've got to be
are you too
mindful.
stressed still?
I guess I'm still
Do you
too
need to take a
stressed.
moment to do a mindfulness
Uh,
exercise?
um, but you know, the they could have done a lot with the Riddler, especially. I feel like when you get to be so
Mhm.
nuts, you know, there's there are reasons that they went with the choices that they went with. I just don't think that they were good enough to go with them, if
It
that makes
it feels
sense.
to me like, thinking back to the other live action portrayals of the Riddler, like the Frank Gorshin one was pretty good. He was not the Joker, you know, but I
Right.
I do feel like even going back to Jim Carrey, they sit down and they go, okay, we got to make the Riddler. Which Joker is he going to pretend to be? You know,
Right. Now, I will say this for them that this was pointed out by the internet.
the internet.
Um, Jim Carrey, when he was Edward
Hmm.
Nigma in that movie, wore a particular pair of glasses that were like clear frames, and this Riddler wears the exact same frames.
Well, how do you do?
So that was like a nice callback, I
Sure.
guess. But also, like, that's it. That's the thing that you're like, yeah, he's the Riddler. Of
I,
course, he's wearing the same
I,
glasses.
right. Those classic Riddler glasses that he always wore, and not his little domino mask thing. Um,
Right. Yeah.
Here's what I would like to see in an actual Riddler. I would like to see, like you said, someone who is poised, someone who's intelligent, someone who's like calm. He's a strategist, but also what he is literally wearing is a Doctor Who Halloween costume with the from like the third or fourth Doctor. No, the third Doctor where they got the question marks all over it. Or no, not the fourth. The sixth. Who was the?
I believe you. I just believe you,
I'm gonna look it
whichever
up.
one.
Which one is the? It would have to be the sixth Doctor, right? They got progressively more question
Sure.
marks on their suit for a while until like the seventh Doctor, and then they kind of stopped that. Sixth Doctor Who. It's the one that was played by Sylvester McCoy, right? Oh, was that the fifth Doctor? Sixth Doctor. Oh no, sixth Doctor was Baker, Colin Baker. Sylvester McCoy was the seventh Doctor. This is just a picture of Sylvester McCoy. I wanted to see the Doctor. I'm here to see the Doctor. Seventh, seventh Doctor.
We're taking a pretty weird turn here.
Yes, but I mean, but here, Pat, just look upon. Once I finally switch over to the browser view, I want you
Right.
to look upon what I have found here. Browser view. I hope I set this up correctly before the stream. See, this is what I
Yeah,
want.
there you go.
This is
Perfect.
the guy.
Perfect.
Have him wearing.
The
I mean, you could do a green one, or you just leave it like this. I mean,
right.
Doctor Who. I mean, this isn't like Doctor Who was never until like the 11th Doctor. They never really framed it as an actual question, except for the fact that these guys had question marks all over them. So,
Doctor Who?
mm.
Yeah, fair enough.
you know how
Fair
this
enough.
you know how this doctor
So,
died, Pat.
I don't.
He
Riddle me out.
he I so you this is we could probably go into spoiler territory because this was for the 1996 TV movie. Um, he
Spoiler
he
alert.
appeared in New York in the 90s and was immediately shot.
Ah, damn it, New York in the
Yep.
90s. That's terrible.
Hmm. because the Americans made that movie.
Is that
Where?
Hitler?
Here? Yeah, probably. Yeah, with his classic Nazi grabby arm.
I was just gonna say that. Does that robot have a red band on its
I don't
arm?
think so. I think that's just the way it.
Oh, Doctor
I think
Who.
that's just the way it bends.
Oh,
I don't.
Doctor Who.
That's it. Because here, hold on. Let me see if I
Uh-huh.
can see. It's just the
Yeah,
articulation there.
I know it is, but it just so happens to be red.
Yeah. Well, also,
I'm
I
just
don't think this
saying.
is
I
actually
bet that
Hitler,
was
unless
intentional.
this is like Space Hitler.
I'm sure it's
He's
Space
a
Hitler.
it's a Nazi-esque
Right.
outfit, but it's not Nazi. It's
And
it's not
look at that mustache.
Nazi.
It's Nazi. I can see. Now I can not see.
Yeah, we're veering into some territory here. Anyway, going out back here. You can see my other tabs open there, so you know what I'm going to talk about later. So anyway, I have not seen the Batman. It's not because I don't want to. I just haven't had the time, and there's like COVID and stuff.
Also, it is coming to HBO Max in
Oh,
April. I
okay.
hear.
Well, I will definitely see it sometime in April, May,
So
or June.
yeah, there you go. But yeah, I overall worth seeing. Um, has its issues, not unentertaining. I didn't buy Andy Serkis as Alfred,
Oh no.
but it was just like Andy Serkis was Andy Serkis. It's like okay, I'm okay with that. Um, you know, that's a hard one though. Like it's so hard to take an established actor and make him one of those characters. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? It's easier with Batman when he wears the mask. He's in the mask more than he's Bruce Wayne, and so when you're having to look at Bruce Wayne, you're thinking, "Wow, it's Robert Pattinson." But when he's in the mask, he's
Mhm.
Batman. Alfred is just Alfred,
It's
and
it's tough when we've had so many good Alfreds to get used to
right,
a new
and they've
Alfred.
never been right. They've never been like a heavy hitter. They were just like every Alfred. Well, not Mike, it's Michael Caine.
No, I mean
Every other Alfred
J-
has just been that. I
Jeremy
know that guy as
Irons.
Alfred. That's all I know him as. Oh, I forgot
Yeah,
he
I
was
mean
in.
there's
I don't count it.
yeah, I know, but still, like there's like I bought all of those people as Alfred probably because well, I mean Michael Caine. I mean he was famous for a long time before the Batman series, but like he became
Right.
Alfred. Like he did a really good job in that role.
Yeah, I guess he did a good job. Maybe if we get some more of this series, Andy will become kind of. But Andy is far too prolific still, too. You know what I mean? Like Michael Caine, while he's Michael Caine, like before that, everybody just knew him as Muppet
Yeah.
Scrooge.
Well, his I don't.
Our generation anyway. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like like
maybe I wasn't.
he had enough time, and same with Jeremy Irons. Like it's not like they were popular actors of the
Right, that's what I
moment.
was just going to say. Like their careers, they had their careers and they were winding down, and then they were kind of like brought back for
Right.
this. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so Andy Serkis is around still. He does stuff all the time, although you don't really see him mostly.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the fact that Alfred wasn't motion capture, I think, is what really threw me.
it's not
Alfred should have just been a motion capture of an old British
sure.
man.
Why not? Everybody else is CGI. They might as well. They would just, but it would literally just be like a CGI Andy Circus. Like it would just look like him still.
Sure, but
Yeah,
bald.
sure.
Like I think that's part of the problem. He wasn't balding. Most of my Alfreds are
That's
balding.
true. I thought Jeremy Irons did a really good job just because he seemed like he also didn't want to like Alfred the character didn't want to be in the movie, you know? And Jeremy
Right.
Irons did a really good job of bringing that I don't want to be here energy to the role, which I really enjoyed because I didn't want to be there either. But I do want to see this Batman movie, whether it's good or not. I do want to see it because I like superhero movies and I like the Batman and
There,
I
there sure were a lot of nice points in the movie where I was like, this is really cool. This. I will tell you this. This is a little bit spoilery, just a
Mhm.
touch. It definitely dives into the detective
Good.
Batman. You get a very nice feel. Um, and again, this is not spoilery because this happens in the first like 2 seconds of the film. You get kind of a nice noir feel for it because a lot of the narration is from Bruce writing in a diary of
Hmm.
sorts, and so it gives you that cool, like, I was sitting there and the dame walked in. I mean, he doesn't talk like that, but like it gives you that kind of a nice broody reason for the main character to be talking over the opening of the film, um in a way that's not super
Who
cheesy
am I?
because he
You
is.
sure you want to know? Yeah, buddy, I
Yes.
paid $14 to be here. Tell me who you are. I'm Spider-Man.
Gosh darn it. I'm Spider-Man's. Spider-Man's. Anyway, um yeah, so yeah, overall I give the movie hmm, eyebrows raised, but
Okay.
hmm,
All right. Yeah, like I still stand by what we said last time of like they could stand to make these movies less dark and still make good movies. Like the dark gritty
absolutely.
Batman is it has been done to death, and I'm not quite sure how many more avenues that we can go down this before we get to the point where it's like you've made it so realistic that I can no longer like I'm not being asked to suspend disbelief enough to believe that there is a guy dressed as a bat who is successfully being Batman, you know? So like
Right.
there has to be some sort of fantasy to a Batman movie, and I think we could add more to that. Like let's do Batman in space. I want to see Batman go to space. I want a Justice League watchtower in space. That's what I want. I want more of that. Make it more Marvelly. Thank you.
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Because back in the day, everything got
Hmm.
flip-flopped. Everything got
Yeah.
flip-flopped. DC used to be where you went to go see goofy space battles and other ridiculous bullshit, and Marvel is where you went and saw the hard, gritty real life of a superhero. And now it's all backwards, and I want to see friggin' Green Lantern fighting a dinosaur on a planet that's full of
Yep.
dinosaurs. That just sounds
Hmm.
fun, you know?
Hmm.
And now, you can't do that without him having to, like, I don't know, cause racism for dinosaurs or something.
Fine. They're dead. It's fine. Who's gonna complain?
Dinosaur racists.
I was watching. I'm gonna. You know what? Actually, let's take a break here. I was gonna skip ahead to a topic because there was a good segue to it, but now I'm thinking I actually want to take our normal break and refill my water, and then we will come back and I will talk about the thing I was gonna segue into, which is Star Trek. And I'll give you the segue now because it'll have lost its punch when we come back. All right. You talked about like him fighting on a dinosaur planet and stuff. I was watching Lower Decks, and they explained. I don't like this Lower Deck stuff. That show is cool and everything, and I'll try not to spoil like major plot points, but there's just so many references to things throughout it that I love. But their chief engineer
Hmm.
comes from a planet that was colonized by Ren Fair enthusiasts. So you know how like there's like the Wild West planet and the gangster planet and stuff like that. It's like he is the heir to the throne of the Ren Fair planet, whose name I don't remember,
Oh
but
boy.
like he has to fix their ship at one point, the Queen's ship, and like all of the sciency stuff they had to the culture gave them magical names to make it so it's like, oh, it's the dragon's breath drive and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, no, that's just the dilithium converter. It's or whatever it is. I don't remember, but
That's awesome.
I love those kinds of in jokes.
It's
All
pretty
right,
great.
let's take a quick break. 2 minutes. I'm gonna refill my water, and then we'll be back to talk about Star Trek. Where's the be right back button? There it is.
Bam.
All right, we're back. So, Star Trek. All right. I have been catching up on Picard, season
Mm-hmm.
2. It's been really good, I think. And I've kind of been looking at it from the lens of like the people who say that like new Trek, as they call it now derogatorily, everything from Star Trek Discovery to present is not really Star Trek. Like I've seen that from people who are both non-Trekkies and Trekkies alike. I've heard that sentiment that it's not, it doesn't feel like Star Trek. It's not real Star Trek. And also of course there's a huge amount of fans that actually really like the new shows and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And people with realistic opinions like there are problems with Discovery's plot structure from time to time, and but still, like what their problem seems to be is that it's not they're not shows that focus on a traditional, this the captain is the main character. um it's episodic week to week. It's filmed like a movie instead of like a 90s television sitcom. It's uh and then it goes on to like like, oh, there's more action and less science and less exploration and stuff like that. you know and yeah, that's true. Everything I just said is technically true.
Mm-hmm.
It is shot like a modern prestige, serialized television show that's going to appear on a streaming platform. Like, it would be one thing if Discovery was a show that was airing like week to week on CBS. That would be one thing. It would probably be filmed differently, you know.
I mean, I'm sure it would be filmed, and I'm coming from a an outsider. You know,
Mhm.
I am a passive Trek fan. I enjoy Star Trek, but mostly just next gen and next gen related properties. So
Yeah,
one day I will watch Picard, just not yet. Um, but I do find that interesting. It's very true, but I mean I feel like it's indicative of everything now. Like
right, exactly.
sitcoms are filmed like a movie. You know, it's a
Yeah,
single camera instead of the four camera format.
right,
It's it's just the way of things.
right. And
Now,
but like 90s Star Trek was filmed much differently than 60s Star Trek too. You know,
sure, sure.
they just in retrospect they seem a lot more related than you know, like 90s or 80s Star Trek to modern Star Trek, but
Before we get
yeah.
too far away from this, do you think there's room for a nostalgia series like something that is not not so much to where it's like parodying, but like something that's like a loving homage, where you do get the four camera, like 90% of the show is on the one set of the bridge kind of
Mhm.
a show. Like even if it was just like
I
an internet thing.
so there is a show coming out called Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New
Hmm.
Worlds. That's the next series that they're doing. And I'm hoping that that's actually what that show is going to be. I mean, it's still going to be
Okay.
filmed. It's not going to be the filming techniques of the past, I think, are gone at this point. Like we
Well, I mean, you get a show now and again, like your Big Bang Theory was still a four camera sitcom. I think there's still going to be and without getting too far off topic, like I've actually been kind of worried slash intrigued by this because they're bringing back one of my favorite shows, Night Court.
Mhm.
It's coming back, um and I don't know how it's going to be shot.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like if that kind of a show is shot in that one camera dynamic, or god forbid, like I'm so sick of the Office type, the Office had a set reason for it being filmed the way it was filmed,
Right, the
and then
documentary
like all the
guerrilla
rest of the
style.
shows that followed were just like they weren't actually being interviewed. Like there's no documentary being made.
Yeah, we're
It's
just
just
filming
this
it
is
as
how
if
we
someone's
chose.
walking around with a camera, casually
Right, and I
filming only the
don't
funny
like it.
parts.
I hate that, like,
Mhm.
shaky,
Yeah, zoom
zoomy, like
exactly. Yeah, the
it's
shaky zoomies.
it works. Like I said, for The Office, it works, especially because they actually interact with the cameraman and stuff. We're getting way off topic, but the point I'm making is that if things go those ways, it does take something away from it for me. You know, I remember thinking about like the, the near death of the sitcom. I felt,
Hmm.
you know, you have your kind of hangers on like your Big Bang Theory again, which is over.
Hmm.
They were shot in the old school style. There was a
Hmm.
handful of sets, four camera, laugh track, that kind of thing. Um, and I think that that carried over into a couple like the Connors. I know is shot that way, stuff like that. But then you get shows like the Goldbergs that is not.
Hmm.
That's more. That's kind of an in between.
I think
You
Modern
get like a
Family was like that too. It
semi.
was more like the Goldbergs.
Modern Family, well, no, Modern Family was more like a documentary. They still had that like shaky cam
Right.
thing
But
going
it
on for
wasn't like a
no
live
reason.
studio audience type. I don't, maybe
Right.
not. I don't know
Definitely
for sure.
not
I didn't watch that a lot.
definitely not live studio audience. Because they have four walls, they have, you know, characters moving around, that kind of thing. The point I'm getting at is Star Trek, I think it's very interesting and very cool to see the cinematic kind of visuals that you get in a Discovery and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But there's part of me that misses the silly sci-fi. I miss silly sci-fi.
Hmm.
That's something I just miss in
There
general.
was there was a
I
really long
love it.
time in like the 2000s where we just didn't have sci-fi.
Right.
It's like
Right.
Stargate and Battlestar Galactica ended, and then we just didn't have sci-fi for many years
Mm,
until like shows like The Expanse and a couple of other like ones that aren't like they're popular among their crowd, but like
right.
Expanse
But they
Expanse
didn't
has a huge following, but it's not like a mainstream sci-fi series. Like it
exactly.
didn't quite
It
break
didn't
out,
break through.
Um, but like now we got our Star Trek shows, and we're getting tons of Star Trek shows. You know,
Right.
and so I guess my question is, and I agree with you totally. I would love to see a more traditionally filmed Star Trek show that's just more episodic, that just focuses more on the be like, hey, we're
Monster of the week kind of
exactly a monster of the week type
something.
Star Trek show. The Discovery focuses on it's an ensemble cast, but it has one person plus an ensemble, and that
Hmm.
one person is not most of the time is not the captain of the ship. But I think part of the thing about Discovery that gets me sometimes is that they literally reinvent the show every season.
That's
Like it's
very cool.
they are in the past before original Star Trek, then they're in the distant future. And that's just where
Hmm.
the show takes place now, is the far distant future. And she's not the captain, she is the captain, a different guy's the captain. Pike from the Enterprise is the captain in season 2. It's
Hmm.
like they keep just changing the show. And I actually really like that. It's similar to like Book of Boba Fett, where you could just be like, and now it's the Mandalorian.
Right. Right. I
But
mean, that's a kind of a fun take on a show too. The kind of throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, and
yeah.
keep going, keep changing, keep
So I
growing.
so I guess here's my question. You're an outsider to this. You're not a hardcore Trekkie. I I am, but I'm capable of being like, there's a lot of things about Discovery I don't really think work. And like I'm not watching the current season right now because I'm not enthused about it. But I don't think it's like we don't need to throw hate at it. Like
Right.
it's a pretty good show. It just doesn't always catch my interest, especially like Picard. And man, if you're not watching Lower Decks, Pat, you got to watch Lower Decks. That is the best Star Trek that's happening right now.
I
Um,
will check that out.
but like, let me ask you this, because the
Hmm.
question that I originally started with was like, are these shows, people who say these shows are not true Star Trek, what does a show need to be in order to be true Star Trek?
I think that's an interesting question because it really depends on your viewpoint though, like what it
Right.
is to you. That's the
Exactly.
problem.
Exactly. But
Because
so many
Star
people
Trek was
said,
really.
Deep Space
Go
Nine
ahead.
is not true Star Trek because they don't go anywhere. Like Star Trek has to be exploration. That's what they said when Deep Space Nine came out, right? And Deep Space Nine is
I
like the
mean,
most beloved series now, almost.
right.
That or TNG.
I I mean, again, I love both, but mostly because I don't know if I would have given Deep Space Nine a try if it wasn't for Worf and O'Brien being on the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean
You know what I mean?
that's specifically
Like
why
that
they put
was
Worf on the show. So,
I know, and but I'm
and
happy
it
they
worked.
did
Yeah.
because I do love all the characters from Deep Space Nine. They're just not as I wasn't watching Deep Space Nine during the right time. You know, Next Generation was the show that was my formative Star Trek show. It really the thing about Star Trek for me is much more about Gene Roddenberry. You know,
Mm.
Roddenberry's ideas of the future, Roddenberry's ideas of equality, like all of these wonderful things. Somebody um somebody put it into words for me uh on the internet one. I wish I remembered who did it. It was just some random video I saw that I was like, I never thought about phrasing it this way, but it rings very true to me. I love Gene Roddenberry's version of the future because it differs from literally like every other version of the future in that like all the other like Star Wars, Blade Runner, any other version of the future, everything went wrong.
Yeah. Every other future is
We
a dystopia.
ended right. We ended it ended terribly.
Hmm.
But Star Trek ended with us or ended up being that we were exploring.
Right.
Like
Humanity
we don't
rose
we
to
don't
meet the
have
occasion.
right. We don't have hunger. We don't have I mean we do, we find them. But the by and large idea is that we can feed the masses. People aren't, you know, living homeless and all these wonderful things. And then they come upon these things in other areas and they're like, "Oh man, we have to deal with this. We beat it as a race. That's why you guys don't know about it. But if you look back at the 20th century, oh, this was a problem, and it's done in such a wonderful learning way that I always love that in sci-fi, like old sci-fi, because you don't see it too much these days. But I remember, was it Rod Serling maybe said it, or maybe it was even what's his name that I just said, Gene Roddenberry. Where it's like I think it was Serling talking about Twilight Zone, and it was a matter of I can't ask these questions about us, but I can ask them about Martians.
Hmm.
And I can broach this topic about a distant civilization and have a real honest talk about it with people without making them uncomfortable, even though I'm really talking to them about their own problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is what's beautiful. And for me, that is what Star Trek.
There's, as you know, like the current season of Picard, there's some time travel involved. They go back to 2024. So it's still the future, technically,
Right.
as of right now.
What do they just want to have flying cars or something?
No,
They're
no,
like,
no.
oh, 2024.
It's it's literally present day. There's nothing
Right.
different about it. But um, they go back in time, and of course, the first thing they do is they're commenting about the state of the planet and what people are doing to the environment and what they're doing to the homeless, and like just the way there's commentary on immigration. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and I just as I'm watching it, and I generally avoid going to the seedier parts of like Twitter and stuff, but I just know there's certainly people out there being like, "Oh, Star Trek is being woke again," you know,
Right. Oh
as
yeah.
if
No,
as if
sure.
it hasn't been for 50 years. But
Right.
I think back to the time when Voyager went back in time to 1996, and they did the exact same thing. And the
Hmm.
time when the original series went back in time to City on the Edge of Forever, and they did the exact same thing. And it's just now we're commenting on 2022. You know, it's just the specific things that we're commenting on change decade to decade because it's whatever's important at that time. But that's always been Star Trek. And to me,
Right.
the current season of Picard feels the most Star Trek out of all of the new Trek stuff. Like this
Yeah.
finally feels like we have like Picard's the captain. In the first season, he's kind of he's meeting people and stuff, and you don't even kind of realize it until like a couple episodes in, but it's like, oh, he just put a new crew together, you know.
Right.
So now he's got his crew, his new crew, and Q is there. And I'll tell you one quick thing, Pat. This is kind of spoilery, but like, Q is there, but when Q first shows up, he looks like 90s Q. Like they
Oh
digitally
yeah, that's
de-aged him,
awesome.
and he's just like, "Oh, hold on, let me catch up." And then he turns into modern day John Delancey. But
That's awesome.
but yeah, so like they go back in time. They're doing their stuff, but it first they the timeline changes, and they're in like kind of like a mirror universe, and they got to
Hmm.
navigate that whole thing, and then they got to go. Oops, they got to go back in time and fix it. That's I don't think I'm spoiling much there because that's basically laid out in the
No, that
trailers.
was in
Yeah.
the trailers. Yeah.
So, but that to me just felt like, hey, this is a classic Star Trek story, almost to the point where it almost feels like this exact story has been told before, but
Hmm.
it's different, right? And it's
Right.
different characters, and they react to the situation differently than any characters have before. Partially because it feels like these characters have done this before, and they are aware of that. You know, like just imagine you're Picard and you're almost 100 years old and Q shows up again. What's your reaction, Pat?
Right. Right. I.
Because that's how Picard reacts. He literally is just like, Q, I am too old for this bullshit. Get out of here. so
That is wonderful.
it feels like classic Trek almost too much, but all the characters are in on that same feeling. And I haven't watched the latest episode. I know there's I have heard people say like, oh, I really liked that TOS reference that they snuck in there and stuff like that. So I'm sure it doesn't feel like spoilery. Like it doesn't feel like that was like the major plot point. Maybe it was, and I misread, but to me it sounded like people just being like, oh, I liked that one thing, that one little background thing or
Hmm.
something like that. Um, but the big mystery is they're going back in time to find someone called the Watcher, who's living on Earth in 2024, and that person can help them fix the timeline. So the big mystery is what it sounds like is going to be like, who's the Watcher? And of course, there's a lot of theories. And someone said once you see the latest episode, there's enough clues in there that smart Trekkies will be able to figure out who the Watcher is. So I'm excited to see. But like, so many possibilities. It's clearly someone we're going to recognize when we find out who it is, and not just going to be like some random alien again. It's not going to be Ed Begley like in
Maybe.
the Voyager episode. Um, so what my money's on though, Pat, is
Hmm.
Wesley Crusher. I got to go with. I'm going with Wesley Crusher, just so Picard can tell him to shut up again,
Oh, shut up, Wesley.
for old time's sake.
Yeah,
I
for
don't know,
old timey's sake.
because the second to last time we saw Wesley, he left with the Traveler.
That's true. So if he hung out with the Traveler, he could become the Watcher,
Exactly. He
so
could
he
he
could
could be a
watch the
time traveler. We
Traveler.
have no idea. He did show up again for Riker and Troy's wedding, but he was just there, and they didn't explain why or how he was there. So I
Fair.
think they forgot that he
Fair.
had traveled with the Traveler. To be perfectly
He
honest, like I think
left.
they forgot that he wasn't just like off the ship, you know. So
Of course he came back. Of course. Why wouldn't he? Oh, time traveling. Shit.
so anyway, I guess what I'm saying is Star Trek is whatever you want it to be, and if you don't like the shows, that's fine. You don't have to watch the shows. I think it's really great that
Right.
they keep making new shows and that it's not like we got to wait a decade for the next one. Like Strange New Worlds is a show about Christopher Pike and the Enterprise again and just
Hmm.
their adventures. And I'm very excited for that. And man, Lower Decks. Lower Decks is a love letter to the franchise and I absolutely love every single minute of it. It's fantastic. There's an episode you're gonna love this episode. I forget what it's called because I all the names of the episodes are great too. Um, where they come across they save a civilization from an evil supercomputer that's been manipulating them into war. The computer's name is Agamus, and it's played by Jeffrey Combs. And it basically looks like kind of like a gaming computer once they've disconnected. It's just
Uh-huh.
like a box with a red light that blinks when it talks. And their point is they're trying to take it back to prison, to computer prison, where they put all the evil supercomputers because they have a prison for all the evil supercomputers. And the
Uh-huh.
whole thing, he's just trying to trick them into putting him near a port so he can take over whatever he's near. You know, he's just like, I bet you couldn't throw me over by that network port, and stuff like that. And it's just fantastic. It's great. There's an episode where they show what the lower decks are like on other ships. Like there's a Klingon ship, and they show the lower decks, and then there's a Vulcan ship where they show the lower decks. And during the credits, they show the lower decks of a Borg ship, and it's just four drones and four alcoves not doing anything.
That's awesome.
It's such a great show. I love it so much. Love it so
I,
much.
I promise I'll start trying to watch it.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
start trying.
I'll stop spoiling all the episodes. Um, did you have any cool toys or anything you wanted to show off today? I didn't write down in the agenda anything for you, but
I
I thought
I
there was something.
did. So on the same day I had an adventure day. On the same day I saw the Batman, I went to a very small toy show in Portage, Indiana.
Oh, sweet.
And it was in a very weird um place. It was by like a dog park. It was very difficult to find. And so I I imagine that's why it was kind of small and nobody was there. So that made me happy. It wasn't like nobody was there, but it was enough where I felt safe. I did not feel as though um, I was going to be COVIDed, but
Covinated.
um, covinated. I like that. So I did my walk through, and I'm at that point. We've talked about this a lot before, you and I. I'm at a point in my collecting where it is very few and far between that I see something I need.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
same.
so I did not find anything I needed, quote unquote. But I did find something that I had on order at Big Band Toy Store, and it hadn't come in yet, even though it should have been in months ago. And they had it there for the same price. So I bought it and canceled my pre-order. And without further ado, here is it's the Scarlet Witch WandaVision.
Oh, it actually looks
That's
pretty good.
not her theme song.
No.
It's a very good toy. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to get this to focus here, but they I always do this. I hate the backwards camera. Can you see they gave her like her weird broken fingers?
Yeah, her
Like
wiggle
her
digits.
hands are all like
Yeah, because she's doing her.
wiggledy
Yeah,
wiggledy goo. And then she's got her little magic uh
you got your little magic
swirls.
there.
And then they also came with clear plastic versions of these hands that match the magic swirls, which I don't ever remember her hands looking like that, so I did not. I
Now,
went
I mean,
not displaying that.
sometimes her hands would be like completely covered in magic, but I don't feel like that
Right, but not
equates
like
to them being like transparent.
translucent.
Yeah,
Right. The face is really good. I thought that they did a very good job on her likeness.
you
Come
need like
on,
an autofocus
focus.
button. There it goes. We got it.
There.
Yeah. No, they did a really good
So
job with the likeness.
they did a really good job. This is weird though. Her articulation here, when
Oh,
you arch her back, it's just a gaping hole. So that's awkward. Her head is a little wobbly.
you know what they say, Pat? The fastest way to a woman's stomach is through her heart.
That's fair enough. Um, Now, see this one. This is another one that leads me to a slight dilemma, though, in that for my MCU, I try not to double up
Hmm.
for characters.
Oh no. Which version do
Um,
you already have?
I have the Age of Ultron version where she's in like the trench coat. Now, this with the helmet piece and everything, this is very much what I want. I
That's
want this,
I feel like that's the
but
official Scarlet Witch. The other one is the Wanda costume. This is the Scarlet Witch
right,
costume, you
right.
know.
There are very few characters that I have multiples of in my MCU. I have a multiple of Cap, but I have the worthy Cap where he's got the Mjolnir,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, meow, meow, and I also have like World War II Cap,
Yeah.
and so
I feel
he's
like that's
his
fair.
fatigues and
Yeah.
everything. So like I hide him in the back with Peggy Carter because neither of them should really be there.
Hmm.
Um, and then I feel like, do I have an extra Thor? No, I always meant to buy chubby Thor
Hmm.
because I think it's funny. But that breaks my rule. I have a Thor. That one is one that really bugs me though because the Thor. There are certain figures that they put out that are amazing. Like I said, that worthy Cap is a beautiful action figure. I could not ask for a better version. It looks like Chris Evans. It comes with a maskless Chris Evans head that looks spot on. The Marvel Legends Tony Stark left a lot to be desired for me, so I found a head online that is perfect, and I just stuck it on a Figuarts. I think version Mark III or something, and it's like that. It's very MCU um, Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man.
Hmm.
And so like I really try for the MCU figures to get um, get strong likenesses, for the characters, and for whatever reason, they just have not produced a really good Hemsworth figure.
Hmm.
You know, so much of the only one that I even liked a little was the Age of Ultron, but then he had the gold discs on his outfit instead of the silver, and I really hated that.
Yeah.
But then I bought one of those sweet chrome pens, and so I just chromed out all the gold, and so he looks okay. The likeness isn't perfect, but it's passable. Um, the best one though, the best one I'm in my opinion, there two I think are the best. It's Ant Man and Wasp. My favorite. Do you have any of those? Do you have any of
I'm
the
not
MCU
collecting any of the
characters?
MCU characters.
My favorite thing in the world is the Paul Rudd head on the Ant Man figure because he's going like this,
Mhm.
like he's
It-
making
That
a real
it's
goofy
it's a
smirk.
classic. It's a classic face that is so out of place for Marvel Legends. I'm gonna bring up a picture of it. Hold on.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But the Wasp head, like her alternate head, is probably the best likeness I've ever seen in an MCU figure. So see if you can pull both those up so people can see what I'm talking about. But
Uh, here,
um
here's what I've got. This was just my initial search
yeah, look
here.
at that
Look at like
face.
here. Yeah,
Look at
here.
that face.
Yep. Yep.
That doesn't do it justice. Because the way they print the heads, they don't I don't feel like they don't photograph well. Like in hand, it looks so good. So damn good. But what's funny is Paul Rudd himself does not care for that head. Like he was kind of put out that he looks like an asshole, he said. I think it's spot on. But then I think they put him out in like a 2-pack or something where you can get him with a more normal looking head. Um but see if you can pull up the Wasp real quick. Oh, see, there it is. It's so good. I love it. The Wasp, and it's funny because she was a peg warmer, like nobody wanted this figure, but I thought that the likeness was just so good. So
This one.
look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that. It's really good.
it's really good.
So
Better than these.
I think it's very interesting. Yeah. I think it's very interesting how some, because they all do the scans now. It's very little. Well, I won't say that. I think that there's still artistry involved,
Oh yeah, but they
but
start from scan.
they they start from the facial scans. I think it's very interesting how far off some of them come out.
Hmm.
Like the official Tony Stark from like the 10-year pack, I think looks terrible. Just awful. I'll see here, hold on. Maybe I can send you a picture of what my Tony looks like. Um but I really do try um to keep it just one, one character per. Yeah, there he is. Here, I'll send you. It's a link to the eBay.
All right.
The eBay. The eBay.
Where are you sending this to me at? Oh,
In
Skype.
Skype.
Okay, sure, sure.
And that is just like I said. This is one of the coolest in hand. One of the coolest sculpts um, I've ever
Yep,
seen.
I
The
had it. It was on
the
screen for a second.
eyes
There
are,
he is.
yeah,
That is
the eyes
intense.
are glossy. Like
Jeez.
it's so good. It's so good.
Wow. Oh,
And
let me
so
move that up a little bit.
uh, I plunked that right onto a figure arts Iron Man body, and I couldn't be happier. That is my MCU pride and joy. And then I went, I went and got the Diamond Select Hulk too, because Diamond Select is in I don't know the actual scale. It's 7-inch scale instead of 6-inch. So Hulk is huge,
Hmm.
And I initially bought because I really liked the likeness on their Hemsworth, so I bought the Thor as well. But him as a 7-inch figure does not work. It's it's pretty terrible when I stood him next to, and he's like 2 heads taller than everybody else. I was like, that one's not so much, but. I'll tell you the other one though that really bothers me is there are like no good Hawkeyes.
Hmm.
Hawkeye got one figure that came out, maybe two figures came out when like the first Avengers hit, and since then they have not given him another action figure. And I really could give two shits about Hawkeye in the Marvel movies,
Well, there is.
but I really liked his new. There's a new figure
Yeah,
coming
I was
out
just
for
gonna say there is a new figure from the show.
the Disney Plus show, and so I will be buying that. But again, that feels a little cheaty, though. You know what I mean? Like the rest of my original seven Avengers are definitely from the first, or at least the phase uh, before the first major phase in the Avengers. I guess Cap's costume is different. I guess I don't know. I would have liked to get him in his Avengers costume.
Hmm.
But this one works too.
Yeah,
You know, he's Hawkeye. Nobody cares.
very few people care. Slightly more people because of the TV show, probably, but not really.
Well, he did gain a lot of popularity for the series that the TV show is based on,
Yeah,
where it was the Hawk Guy
yeah,
era.
right. The Matt Fraction book.
Yeah, and it was very good. I have that book.
Mhm.
One of our friends of the show actually got it for me. Adam Ebert got me a copy of it, and it was awesome, super awesome.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I was very happy when the show came out, and it was obviously kind of tagging that style.
Yeah,
I was like, all right,
yeah. Same
I enjoy
same
this.
logo. It has the pizza dog. It's got the girl.
Pizza
Hawk
Dog,
girl.
love Pizza Dog, Hot Girl. Um, but yeah, see, I love these kinds of heads, like that Tony. I got one that I can't find at all anymore. um, for Stan Lee, and my Stan Lee is also one of my very favorites. See, I have a Stan Lee in the background of my MCU figures. I think that's an important uh important MCU character. He's in a lot of the movies.
Hmm. That's true. Not lately though.
Sad, sad but true.
I watched a YouTube video a little while ago that that goes through all the cameos. Now that he's gone, you can
Mm,
definitively say these are all the cameos, right? And
that's
going
should be.
going through it, I forgot. Like like you remember him being in a lot of them, but there were so many that I
Hmm.
completely forgot he had a cameo in them.
Like what were some of them that you were surprised by? Do you remember?
Um, no, I don't. But
No.
there were a couple where I was just like, oh man, that was a really recent movie too. Like, um, I think he was in the first Venom movie.
Oh, was he? That's funny. I still haven't seen that movie.
That was
I should one
that
day.
was one of them. There was a later MCU movie that I had forgotten he was into. I think his
I
last one was either Venom or Guardians 2, I think. I don't remember.
mm, one of my all-time favorite Stanley cameos is in the Teen Titans Go movie.
Oh no, wait, he's in Infinity War, isn't he?
I think so. Wasn't he the bus driver? Wasn't he Peter Parker's bus driver?
No, I think
And he was like
he's
unimpressed.
what's the movie where they go back in time and he's in the car and he drives by and he's like, "You hippies."
Oh yeah,
Isn't that
yeah.
when they go back in time and
That was yeah. That
was
was
that an
that was
Endgame?
in that was Endgame, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
So he was in. I think so. I think he was in Endgame then.
That might have been his last one, which is
Yeah, because that was part of the time heist, so that had to be the last.
yeah.
So
Well, anyway,
yeah.
I want to talk really quick about the new stuff that I got this week, which was not much.
Yeah.
But I got this little tiny transformer who turns into Hot Rod. Okay, very
It looks
tiny.
like he would.
He's very um, more complicated transformation than you would expect from a tiny guy. And then I got this guy, super cool. You ready for this?
Hmm.
You know what this guy turns into?
Ooh, a
A
microscope.
microscope. That's right.
That's awesome.
And technically a tank. If you pretend his microscope thing shoots things, he has a tank mode, just like the original G1 toy did. But he transforms basically exactly like the original G1 toy, but he's obviously very posable and everything, and he could do all this stuff. So,
Nice. I haven't bought a regular Transformer in a long time.
God, I love these things. They're
I
so
think
good.
that's because we don't go shopping at Target together anymore.
Yeah, I might if we talk about other things where I'm not holding stuff up, um, I I might um, I might transform him and show the microscope mode.
Nice.
It doesn't take long, but um,
I could do a brief stint about Big Bad Toy Store.
oh yeah, sure, go for it.
So um, I I'm beginning to have a very love hate relationship with Big Bad Toy Store. I don't know. I don't know about you. Um, they're they are a wonderful safety net. I feel
Hmm.
that's how I use them. The
They're
second I hear of a product coming out, I rush to Big Bad Toy Store and pre-order it.
yeah, their price has
Then I
got a
think
little.
about it.
This guy's got a great clicky.
Ooh,
Can you hear that? Is that coming through?
nice. Uh-huh,
Good.
a little bit.
Here, hold on. Let me turn off my noise canceller real quick.
Oh, that's good. That's good clickies.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, like well, so I ordered the spoiler alert for our own show next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I ordered the McFarlane Princess Bride figures.
I wanted to wait till
So
next week to find out that that happened.
you knew
I
that.
didn't. I
Get
had
out of
no
here.
idea. You don't tell
Um,
me these things.
you don't listen. Um, so I ordered them through them, and I'm sure it's not their fault, but very oddly, one week they were like, "Hey, we got your Andre the Giant figure in for it." was like, oh, cool. I did order them all at the same time, and they're all from the same toy line. Why is it that I only got? And they're like, oh, no, no, don't worry, don't worry. Wesley is also here. Here he is next day, Wesley. I was like, yeah, but I ordered 3 figures. Where's Inigo Montoya? Come on. And then like 3 weeks later, I get like a hey, this is coming in soon. And that can mean anything from like the next day to another week and a half. And
Yep.
this particular time it was a week and a half. They were just like, "Hey, we it's here. It's in your pile of loot. Enjoy." Nice.
Yep, that's it. It's not super complicated.
So so
You can look at
silly, but I
stuff,
also love it.
and then tank mode is basically um like like this. It's not. It's not. You know. Whatever.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Whatever.
Uh, but yeah, back to Big Bad for a minute here. Like I ordered my Scarlet Witch um like the same time I ordered Loki,
Hmm.
you know? And so I got Loki like I don't know, 6 months ago, and this was still on pre-order. Now the only thing that I will say, I don't know that I've ever had anything. No, oh no, I'm sorry. One time I had something canceled, and that's when DC Direct went out of business, and they were like, "Oh crap, sorry,
Yeah.
you can't have this toy anymore." But interestingly enough, I can have it now, and that's back on my list. It was the animated series Catwoman figure. Um, but I don't know, like I've been collecting the He-Man Origins line, pretty faithfully, and they've had, I can't remember what wave number it is, but it's the one with Sorceress, and Jitsu, and I can't remember the other two, but that wave has been like seen and sold out from like Targets for months and months and months now, and I have not gotten my pre-order yet. And again, I'm not super worried about it. Like I'm sure that it's either going to come, or if it doesn't, like none of these toys, these particular toys are still available pretty readily. Anytime I could just pick them up, and I do like when I see them in stores. Like that one's harder though because it sucks because I bought them as a pack, you
Yeah.
know. So it's not like if I see one I can just cancel
Right.
because they are all sold out now. I'm just waiting on my pre-order. Um, so that I play those a little carefully, and I've gotten smarter. You don't get a deal for buying them as a pack, so I started ordering them
Yeah. Me
individually,
too. You should.
um, just in case. It's much easier that way. But
I mean, that's one
it's
of the reasons I started moving things over to Hasbro Pulse, even though sometimes, maybe even oftentimes, they're like a buck or two more. But
mhm.
you get them as soon as they come in and they ship them individually.
Right.
So
That's the thing I do like. I've got, well, there's no choice, but I have all the animated guys coming, and for X-Men, and I like that I can pretty much count on the fact that when they say it's going to ship on this day, it's probably going to ship on that day.
yeah.
And again, I don't have the membership, so it's not as nice for them to ship things separately.
Mhm. Oh,
But their shipping isn't awful.
let me tell you this, Pat. We the Tyrannosaurus Sentry Lightning Collection figure, the shattered grid version of the Red Ranger.
Uh-huh.
Um, we pre-ordered him, and when I say we, I mean like the pre-orders went up um, 13 months ago, I believe at this point, and he was supposed to come out um, like last April, I believe. So
Uh-huh.
we are approaching. I'm probably getting these dates wrong, but we are approaching about a year of delay on this one figure, which is a Target exclusive. So yeah,
Well, that's Target's fault, though. Come
I
on.
don't, I don't think so. I mean, Hasbro hasn't shipped them to anybody. It's not like Target's sitting on them, or it's not like Target's making the thing.
Well, and you know what's like I just had this happen this week or so. You know, the NECA is putting out a beautiful Elvira figure. I can't wait for this figure, and it went on pre-sale again. I think on Halloween.
Hmm.
I think it was like a Halloween. It was the first day, and so again, I pre-ordered it from Big Bad Toy Store. It claims that it's going to be out this month, which rarely is true with them. Um, but the interesting thing is that this figure is now part of the NECA slash Target Haulathon and has been released to Targets. And I mean, they actually made it seem like it's an exclusive to this Haulathon. But again, Big Bad Toy Store has had it on pre-order for a long time, and I am in line to get it. But it's $5 cheaper at Target though too,
Hmm.
which is usually not the case.
Right.
Big Bad is usually very good about giving you the best price.
Yeah.
Um, but I've been monitoring the situation. I think in a week, right now it's two. Okay, in 2 weeks, um, you'll be able to order them from the Target website. Um, but they're supposed to be available in store now. And I guess there's like there's a special edition signature one where Elvira's actually autographed like the base on some of them. But the thing that's weird to me is like it's not like, oh my god, I found the signature one. The signature one costs like $90, so you're paying for the signature.
Hmm.
So it's still they're still hard to get, but it's not like it's a fantastical thing. If you find the signature one, you still have to pay for it.
Right. You're gonna pay for it.
So, oh, you'll pay. But I don't know. I am hopeful that I will get my box because I think that's the thing that bothers me the most is that I'll say, well, you know what, folks, be here with me right now as I tell Big Bad Toy Store to go ahead and send my pile of loot in
It
hopes
won't be here
that
this
they
time
will
next
get
week.
here
It won't.
this time next
They
week. It won't,
it takes
but it should be.
yeah.
It should
I
be.
mean, global shipping the way it is. This has been like for the last 2 years. Um, it's been really, really random who's going to ship because there have been days where I will go. I've got a pile of loot at Big Bad, and I've got a stack at TF Source. That's what they call their pile of loot. And I'm like, I'm going to click ship at the same time on both of them, and we'll see which one gets here first. And 9 times out of 10, TF Source gets here like a week earlier, and only because
Mhm.
Big Bad takes so long. But sometimes Big Bad's here in like 4 days,
I know.
and so I don't
I know. We're gonna.
I don't know what's going on over there. There's clearly supply chain. There's clearly personnel issues at the warehouses still. Like I don't blame them entirely. Like the stuff gets here relatively reasonably. Once it actually gets out of the warehouse, it gets here fairly quickly. As fast as anything goes through the mail these days. But yeah, I can pretty much guarantee you that box will not be here by the time we do this next week.
I mean, you're probably right. I'm sure.
But we'll come
Um,
back to it. We'll find out. Hey, look, I transformed that little doodad guy. Dude, I did that guy.
nice.
So
That's awesome.
what's interesting about him is the lack of paint on his legs, which I don't really care for. But like normally that chest is the front of the car, but for some reason,
Right.
actually the entire top of the car is just folded up behind his legs here. Because he's actually a rather complicated guy. So anyway, he goes up on my shelf of 3 3/4 inch transformers up. You can't see it; it's up above the camera. It's behind the camera where I have my tiny
You got
Soundwave
one
and
of
my
them
tiny
there,
Starscream and Optimus and Megatron and the Arc and
in a
all the
Cosmo.
big Titan guys. No, not Cosmo yet. They're doing a new Cosmo figure, Pat, deluxe size.
Show me
There's no
pictures.
pictures
Where?
yet, but
After we're done.
they say it's a remold of Warpath, which I don't understand how that could possibly be. So I'm hoping that's wrong. Warpath is a tank.
Okay.
So he's
Interesting.
he's behind me here somewhere.
Interesting.
Hold on. Where's yeah, he's hold on. Let me get the headphones back on. The rumor is he is a retool of this guy, and I have no idea because this guy, if you could just imagine, he kind of like that's the front of the tank there, and then these, become the back of the tank, and then the top part goes forward there to become the tank, in general terms. But I have no idea. It's actually super complicated the way his legs and everything unfold back here. There's a lot of flaps, but I have no idea how this is going to turn into a flying saucer. I should probably like fiddle with it for a while, but the only thing I could think of is that they're going to strip it down to its core, get rid of all like everything. And it's just going to be like essentially
Right.
the same transformation scheme, but not this, but
Hmm.
none of the reused parts. Like I can't
Yeah,
imagine it.
that's.
I just because like this part on the back folds back, and then his head goes into the thing, and he's got the like tank gun that comes out there, and everything basically just kind of sits down flat at this point. When you get his legs all undone here and everything. I don't see it, Pat. I'm hoping that rumor is I'm hoping that rumor is just
I.
mistranslated leaks, but
Maybe. I mean, I'm just excited by the notion of, getting another Cosmo for my collection of
yeah. And he's gonna be, I
Cosmos.
mean, if he's this big, that's the biggest Cosmos we've gotten that isn't from a third party.
Officially,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I've got several third parties that would disagree with
I've got
you, but.
several third parties. I have one final topic to discuss with the crew today. All right.
Yeah.
Um, I've got this thing. I've had it for like a year or two. All right. This is
Mm-hmm.
Hasbro's first attempt at a Megazord. It's it's really posable for a Megazord because like the Bandai Megazords had no elbows ever until like the Soul of Chogokin came out. But this one has elbows and it's fairly, articulated, like he can do this kind of thing and everything. And he has a waist swivel if you unhook the tail, and everything. But
Hmm.
anyway, he's really cheap feeling, like he's really light, he's very hollow. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now that fell off. Um, he's got paint in some places, like on the front
Mm-hmm.
here and everything, and there's some paint, and but like these wheels, no paint. The ears, the mammoth has no paint whatsoever. There's a lot of things where you would just expect like there's molded detail here that should have paint on it and stuff, and there's just none of that. They did put stickers on the back of his shoulders for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway.
Well, they made them for the front, so why not?
So this is my new project for the week, and I'm hoping to have time for this. I got the Toy Hacks set to re-sticker the
Nice.
whole thing, and I'm hoping that it's going to make it look really freaking sweet. So you can see how
I
this,
mean, that picture looks sweet.
yeah, this is what this is supposed to look like on the ears on the mastodon and everything, and then like
Mm-hmm.
they put I'm going to just scroll through the pictures, but all the tiny little details that should be there, um, that are not there. Plus, then they put a little extra chrome on it. Looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it does.
Get the rest of the
Oh, see, I was just gonna ask if they came apart. It looked like they came apart,
yeah, they do.
but also it maybe not.
Yes, they do. They're not great, but honestly, none of the versions of this toy are great. The SOC one is pretty good, and the Zord Ascension project one that's coming looks pretty good. But like, look, it
Wow.
covers up. You can't see my mouse, so I'm pointing at it again. But it covers up some of the screw holes and everything, and just puts those details right where they should be to fill in the lack of paint. And this was yeah, they're trying to hit a price point with this, and this isn't really a collector item. It's made for kids, but I don't know
Right, it's
why
a toy.
because I don't know why they bothered to make it because there was no MMPR push going on, and there so and this isn't really part of any specific toy line. They were just like, here's Zords. They sold them in the T Rex and then 2 packs of the other ones. So like you had to buy 3 things
Mm-hmm.
to get it, or you could buy like one Amazon set. Um, and they just put this out, and it was like, yeah, here's we redid the Megazord really quick, quick and dirty. And I wasn't gonna get it at first, but then I saw it on sale, and I was like, why not? It's better proportioned than any of the um, Bandai ones, and I thought if I don't like it, I'll give it to the kids because
Mm-hmm.
it is the kind of thing that they really can't
Right.
break. So,
There you go.
so anyway, I'm going to try and work on that this week, and
Nice.
I got a lot of projects like this lined up that I keep not having time to get to. I was putting together. Do I have it over here? I have model kits for all of the Wild Zords, and the this is as far as I got. Um, let's. Oh wait, hold on. Where's my? Let me go back to this real quick so you can see me real a little bit bigger. This is as far as I got. I've got the rhino and the little armadillo put together. This
Uh,
model kit. This is as far as I got. So this is basically legs of a Megazord, and
that's great.
yeah. So there's like I don't know, like 16 more Zords I got to put together. I've been collecting the
Wow.
model kits and I haven't had time to put them together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then this might interest you, Pat. I don't actually know if this will or not, but there was a leak today with the Zord Ascension project. Now, for the people who don't know, the ZAP, the Zord Ascension project, is going to be Hasbro's line of higher quality Megazords, starting with the original, and then
Mm-hmm.
they're going to pick other ones. So there was a leak today. Look at that.
Ooh. Got some Dragon Zord on there,
Yeah.
hey?
So they have not announced this Dragon Zord yet, but looking okay, looking like a Dragon Zord.
How much are these before I get my hopes up here?
Like $150, I think.
Oh shit, never
I
mind.
don't know.
I was
Actually,
gonna
I
say
don't
I
know.
might be down for a Dragon Zord, but
The Dragon Zord is probably going to be cheaper because if it's just by itself, it's going to be.
hmm
Oh crap!
hey, there's that
I got to
Gene.
order that.
Look at that.
That's the only one I want. I'm not going to order it live though
Why did she look sad?
because I haven't bought her yet.
She's like
Uh,
I mean, I'm certainly not
Zord,
asking her to smile. That's not happening, but
this Zord Ascension Project Megazord. $166.
that's a good amount of
Limit two
money.
per customer.
Damn it.
Hmm. But
That's fun.
look at what it
It looks
look at what it
cool.
can do that only one other version of this Megazord could do, Pat, and that is bend its knees backwards instead of forwards. Okay, that's
Hot diggity
there's only
dog.
one other version. It's the Soul of Chogokin version. That's the only other one that can bend its knees backwards. Plus, it can move its little back guns there to do the front shooty. It's got the Rangers inside the cockpit there. I love that.
Look at that. That's awesome.
I mean, that's you could really see where the money's going. It's,
Right.
I mean, look, the wheels are black on the saber-toothed tiger. The Triceratops has actual guns instead of just a molded block, and its mouth opens and stuff. And every single one of them, it's unfortunately not painted on the inside, but every single one of them has the Ranger in the cockpit.
You get a toothpick and some white paint
Yeah,
and get those done.
yeah. It does the tank mode too. I mean, technically this one does too. I mean, it is what it is. It's 5 dinosaurs doing a doing a
Right.
thing. But yeah, it comes with a little guy too. See, little guy, cute little guy there.
Little guy. Little guy. I like that they're painted on the head, but they are not painted in their tiny little mini figure or
Yeah,
on their
the head. How do I get back up to the top? Oh, I think there's a button right here that I can't see because the background is white. Yeah, there is. Okay. When they're in the full cockpit, it's just like one printout. You know,
Right.
can I make this even bigger? I don't think so. Yeah.
I thought you could.
There you go. Yeah, it's just like a picture that they printed out on there. I think like it's tampoed or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
Like I
because I mean, it looks three
it
dimensional,
does.
but
I feel like it's the same technology they use to like print like facial details on the figures or something like
right,
that, you know?
right.
But I assume they've run out of budget to do that inside of every single cockpit, you know. I don't know. Maybe somebody will do an upgrade because these kind of look like these pieces maybe pop out or something. So maybe someone will do an
Hmm.
upgrade for him. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I'm gonna try and get this guy all stickered up for next week and then show that off.
Sounds awesome.
So anyway, Pat, I think that's gonna do it for us for today. Um, you know,
Hmm.
we've talked about a lot of things. We've made a lot of friends today. Please join us again next week where we will be doing something. I don't know what.
And hopefully less stressed.
Yes, yes, exactly. I don't know what we're going to be doing or what we're going to be talking about, but it'll be fun for me, and that's what matters. Please don't do that. All right, everybody, go check us out on whatever the socials are that you can remember because I don't remember them, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.